Hey guys, Paul here. Hey, I'm going to read you The Call of the Wild by Jack London. Now, anytime we look at a book, okay, what we're looking at is we're looking at several things, and I want to just kind of go over the features of the book. First off, we have a cover, and we have an illustration. An illustration is a picture that's drawn on a book, okay? The cover tells us a lot of information. It tells us the name of the book, The Call of the Wild. It also tells us who it's by, Jack London. Now, when we go and look at the different parts of the book, we also have, and I know that's a little hard to see, but we have the spine and we have the back. Usually the back has a summary, okay? When we open the book up, what we see is we see a couple of other things. We see the illustration. It's illustrated by Michael Fisher, and the cover illustration is by Dom DeAndre, okay? We go through, we see the table of contents right here, and that's got all the chapters on it. And here we see the list of characters, we see the title page, and we're at the reading. Today we're going to read chapter 1, A Kidnapped King. Buck did not read the newspapers, as he would have known that trouble was ahead. Trouble not just for him, but for every strong dog with warm long hair along the western coastline. Men had found gold in the Arctic, and these men wanted dogs. The dogs they wanted were heavy dogs with strong muscles to pull dog sleds, and with furry coats to protect them from the frost. Buck lived at a big house in the sunny Santa Clara Valley. Judge Miller's place, it was called. It was a large, beautiful home with wraparound porches and a long driveway. The estate had wide lawns with great stables, grape arbors, green pastures, orchids, and berry patches. Then there was a big cement tank where Judge Miller's boys took their morning swim and kept cool in the hot afternoon. Buck ruled over this great estate. Here he was born, and here he lived for the 4 years of his life. There were other dogs, but they did not count. The house dogs and the kennel dogs came and went, but Buck was neither house dog nor kennel dog. The whole place was his. He jumped into the swimming tank and went hunting with Judge's sons. He went with Molly and Alice, the Judge's daughters, on long walks. On wintry nights he lay at the Judge's feet before the roaring library fire. He carried the Judge's grandsons on his back, or rolled them in the grass, and played with them in the orchids. Buck was king over all the other dogs, and every person at the Miller estate. His father, Elmo, had been a huge St. Bernard, the Judge's favorite. Buck was not so large. He weighed only 140 pounds, for his mother, Shep, had been a Scottish shepherd dog. Nevertheless, he carried himself like a much larger dog, like the king he was, with great pride. And this was the life Buck led in the fall of 1897, when the Klondike Gold dragged men from all over the world into the frozen north. But Buck did not read the newspapers. He did not know that men's hearts could be turned with greed. Manuel, one of the gardener's helpers, was such a man whose heart had turned and his greedy eyes fallen upon Buck, a perfect sled dog. The judge was at a meeting with the boys, and the boys were at a club on the sad night of Manuel's crime. No one saw him take Buck and lead him through the orchard for an evening stroll, and only one man saw them arrive at the little train station known as College Park. This one man talked with Manuel and handed him money. "Are you going to tie him up?" the stranger asked gruffly. Manuel doubled a piece of stout rope around Buck's neck under the collar. "Twist it, and you'll choke him plenty," said Manuel. Buck did not resist the rope. He had learned to trust men he knew. But when the ends of the rope were placed in the stranger's hands, he growled to make the man let go. To his surprise, the rope was tightened around his neck, shutting off his breath. And then we see the pictures. Oh my gosh. In a quick rage, he sprang at the man, but the man was ready. He threw Buck onto his back and tightened the rope more. Never in all his life had Buck been so cruelly treated, and never in all his life had he been so angry. But his strength left him, his eyes closed, and he fainted from the rope and the pain. He was not even aware when the train came and the two men threw him into the baggage car. The next he knew, he was being jolted along in something moving, and his tongue was hurting. The shriek of a train whistle told him where he was. He was kidnapped. He was a kidnapped king, now full of anger. He opened his eyes and saw a man in the baggage car. The man's hand sprang to pull a rope, but Buck was too quick for him. His jaws closed on the hand, and he held on even as he was choked once again. Later, in a small saloon, the man complained of his night's ride. "All I get is $50 for this here dog," he grumbled, "and I wouldn't do it over for $1,000. He held Buck firmly by the rope. The man's hand was wrapped up, and his pants were ripped from knee to ankle. "How much did the other guy get?" the saloon keeper asked. "100. Wouldn't take a penny less. That makes $150, the saloon keeper said, and he's worth it, or I don't know dogs. Here, lend me a hand with this brass collar he's wearing. Dazed and in pain, Buck once more was thrown down and choked. The two men held him down as they filed his heavy brass collar from off his neck. Then the rope was removed, and he was flung into a cage-like crate. Without his collar, no one would ever know that he was the king of Judge Miller's estate. There he lay for the rest of the night. He could not understand what it all meant. What did they want with him, these strange men? Why were they keeping him in this narrow crate? Several times during the night he sprang up to his feet when the shed door rattled open, expecting to see the judge or the boys at least. But each time it was the ugly face of the saloon keeper that looked in on him, and each time his hope turned into a savage growl. In the morning, 4 men entered and picked up the crate, evil-looking men. Buck stormed and raged at them through the bars. They only laughed and poked sticks at him as the crate was lifted into a wagon. Then Buck began a long journey on a wagon, a truck, a ferry steamer, and finally yet on another train, passing through many hands to a place he knew not where. And that ends chapter 1. I'll read you later on, tomorrow probably, chapter 2. Have a great day.